Dear Diary, making the decision to immigrate to Calgary felt like I was placing an Amazon order for freedom, endless possibilities, social security, and a beautiful world of seamlessly integrated multiculturalism. Only instead of autofilling my credit card information, clicking buy now, and receiving my package the next day, I spent months filling out paperwork and acquiring various documentations. And I spent years waiting for my visa. And when my metaphorical package finally did arrive, it wasn't exactly what I ordered.
We're Onya and Tomi, and on Diary of a Niger Immigrant, we're talking about what happens after you buy that one-way ticket. We'll chat with guests and hear their immigration stories. We'll commiserate, celebrate wins, and gossip about recent microaggressions. Buckle up, y'all.
This is part 2 of my conversation with Wunmi. If you missed part 1, be sure to check that out first and then join us back here. Let's get to it. I'm very curious. How were you able to find your voice in, like, even in the middle and in the midst of adversity and being different? How and why were you able to find your voice?
I've always been outspoken as a child. I was the child that would just tell things how it is and get in trouble with adults because they're like, you're not supposed to talk like that, you know? So I've always been like that. When I see any type of issues, I talk about it. So it came with me coming to Canada. I didn't know who I was going to meet or how they're going to receive me, but I came with that same attitude. And being Nigerian, we are, I don't know if it's like an infusion of just your nationality. Like, you are smart, you do your best, you know, you're Nigerian, you came from this land, you know, you have to go out and do great exploits. Like, it's just ingrained in us from just, going to school and lining up and reciting all the national anthems and everything that they have to, bring to you to be able to recite prior to you going to school. You already have that infused in you. So I already knew who I was. I already knew what made me important, not just my family, but where I came from, originated from. So coming into Canada, I was ready. Whatever was going to come and meet me, I was ready for it. Fact that you could call your teachers by their first name was weird, back in Nigeria as Mr. Badmoss or right? So now, Kelly, James, and you're like, that doesn't sit with me. So you try to confirm, but you can't conform because of the fact that you already been instilled that respect your elders, right? So those type of things were really difficult to be able to change your the way your mindset was. But the adversities that I faced was just racism. A lot of mostly white kids would tell me, you're a monkey, go back to where you came from.
You're joking, like you actually heard those things.
Oh, yeah. They call me the N-word. And I'm like, what is this? Like, look, you're not even from this country. You migrated here too.
Of course, yeah.
This country was stolen from the indigenous people. What are you talking about? You go back to your country, right? And they would look at me like, oh, this girl's not backing down. And then I became like the advocate for others who were being bullied too, that came from China or India. I spoke out for them too, just for them to be empowered. So I don't think, it's something that was a one-off. It's just who I am. Bravery is something that we were just being instilled to do and be. So being an advocate now for the arts, it didn't make a I didn't look at it as something of, oh my goodness, I just started. I've been doing it since. I used the arts to be able to help support who I was by performing, creating choreographies by myself and performing in front of like 300, 400 people in the gym and allowing them to be able to watch me. And then after that, speaking to them bravely and letting them know this is what I'm doing, and that's at the age of 10. And now I'm in my 40s. It has groomed, it has been more polished, it has been more streamlined. And using the vehicle as Ways to Africa to do that has been just such a blessing.
That's awesome. I'm so proud.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of listening to you talk and everything. Like, you didn't cower down, even like you didn't back down.
No.
Even in the face of people calling you those kind of names. Like, I can't imagine that if it was me, like how I would feel.
It's still happening.
Yeah, it still happens. So people are not vocal about it. They will just look at you funny. Or maybe you go for a job interview and they're like, I don't like this person is not. Maybe you send your, like, it has happened to me before. I sent my resume and they're like, wow, this person has all of this. You've achieved all of this. Wow. We can't wait to meet you. And then you finally meet me and you're like, I don't like the way she talks. Why does she talk like this? Or she doesn't really fit in here. Because she's like, how do you want me? Like, I already feel different. How can you help me fit in? It might not be your job, but at the same time, it's also your job. Because like, this is an alien environment for me. And I'm trying to cope with so many other things. But like, at the same time, I feel different because I'm obviously different from every other person here. So how do I insert myself properly, right? Without being too much, because we're always too much everywhere we go.
It's true.
Always too much. But like, who I am, is it enough? Is it what this part of the world wants? Are they ready for who I am and like how vocal I am and my talent and what I know? And even what I know, is it relevant in this environment? Because so many times I was like, especially moving as an adult and like you've had so many experiences, you've had your education. I moved with my master's and coming here, I just had a diploma. Like that's the lowest education out of all the education, but that's the one I'm using because that's the one I acquired here. Wow. Right? So it's like, what are you doing? But at the same time, like some people back down, and me for one, like that's why this is my pet project, because I'm like, this is the only way I can actually create a space for people who look and sound like me. And this is the only way we can talk about these things. These are things that we go through every time, but there's no voice and there's no word, there's no language to talk about it outside. So how can we do that? Like, this is the only place, and this is like a safe space. This is our diary. And that's what this place is for. So like, I'm so proud to hear how you're using your voice and you're using your platform to do these things. So like, I'm just curious, like, do we have like some things where we can say, okay, this is what, you've told us what you do and all of that. But like, how can people benefit from this? How can people support? How can we be a part of it? Because sometimes we're hearing this thing, but it feels like it's there, but it's still far away, if that makes sense. How can we benefit from this? How can we insert ourselves into what Wezo Africa is doing for the community?
Yeah, it's important to support by coming out to the events. A lot of people, like in 2019, when we had the production at the Arts Commons, it's the third largest arts building in Canada. So we had this production, Unganisha, there, and their goal was bring more Black people to our space. You know, it's a space that has a lot of symphony orchestra, has a lot of, musical events, singing events, theater, but we don't see a lot of your people in our space and we don't know why. So can you bring this production to this space? We'll, give you a discount. We'll help you promote. It will be like a co-production with us, but just bring your people here. So we're like, okay, sure, let's do that. Second production, we did. We brought people there. The board members and those who were working there were shocked to see that many Black people in their space. And we had to. And the reason is, if your programs and your events is not speaking to us and making us feel like it is something that we can gain from, something that we can enjoy, something that is true to who we are culturally, or has a fragrance of something that could make us learn, we wouldn't want to be part of that. If it's not something that's Black focused or Black story, Black experience, or anything that really would help us to be able to understand what this is about. If it's something that's not something we're used to, we won't want to come, right? So the fact that the production had a year before that time, it was great to be able to see that and have people come from the community. Some people we knew, some people we didn't know. Some people came from Lethbridge, Edmonton, Red Deer. Fort McMurray drove down in a blizzard to be in that space.
People, Black people or
Black
white people?
people.
Okay.
Black people.
Yeah.
In a blizzard.
Wow.
But because they understood that it's an interesting storyline, having enslaved Africans coming abroad. Some of them died, millions of them.
Of course, yeah.
Some of them died in the passage and then being dropped off all over the place. And the rhythm in their bodies, what they could remember, and they kept passing that down from one generation to another, now created this amazing genres of dance. That's not something that is readily available on the internet. So a production company created something for us that celebrated our resiliency, advocated for us, and also gave back the origins of where these dance forms came from. So those who are, I won't want to say that word, let me find a different word, profiting from the dance forms now could also understand where it came from if they didn't know. So it kind of gave our voice back. So who wouldn't want to come and support and be in that space? So it's important to look for events that really speak to who you are and what you're interested in going to, even if it's a white person that created the event. They want you in their space. They want you in their space. They just don't know how to get you in their space. But because we're so reluctant to go, we continue to miss out on really amazing events and programs and activities that will really infuse us and give us that cohesion with other organizations and other people in the community, right? Our production has probably like 60% Black people, but the other 40 people are curious. There are other races, they're curious. People on stage dancing, 80% of them are non-Blacks.
Which is weird. Yeah, like dancing African dancing, you're not even African.
Because our parents are not putting us in dance. They don't think that dance is important or art is important. They want you to be a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, and just basically make money. They think dance is a very impoverished type of art form or career pattern. It's not a professional looking space for you to be saying, oh, I'm an artist, oh, I'm a singer, I'm a musician, I'm a comedian, I'm a fashion designer. To them, it seems like you're just wasting your life. Yeah. Go and become something that will make you money, something that we can be proud to say, my son is a doctor, my son is a lawyer, my daughter is an accountant. That's what they prefer, right? So it's really interesting because my parents were never like that. They supported my love of dance, my love for the arts. And, when I started growing in my artistry, they were seeing the growth and they were seeing the community celebrating my growth. And it made them feel happy because they did not stunt my growth. They were not against it. So my answer to your question would be for us to go out of our comfort zone, go out of our church, go out of our family, go out of our friends, and actually go and learn. Look for events that are happening that might pique your interest and go and enjoy it. At least try something once. A lot of immigrants who are here now, they don't come out to our events. They don't.
Yeah, I get that. I remember we were at an event one time and you were like, so where is everybody?
Yeah.
Like, why don't they come out and everything? I was like, yeah. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here. As an immigrant woman, it's like sometimes it's just like everybody has a job that they are doing in order for them to fend for their kids and for them to take care of themselves. So how are we going to be able to find, like, you're coming back, because back home, like using my own self as an example, back home, when my kids go to school, they do all the activities in school. They do piano, they do swimming, they do the whole track and field thing. They do everything in school. But here, the only thing they do in school is normal school.
Yes.
That's if they even learn anything.
Yes.
Then when you come home, you're the one that will now continue. You take your kids to Kumon, you take your kids to swimming lessons, you take your kids to piano lessons and the rest of them. So like, how are Black people supposed to find, because the struggle continues. We keep moving. We're trying to hustle. We're trying to make money. And like, everything is expensive. For you to be able to pay for those things, you have to be able to work for them. And like, it's almost like you're working to pay bills. So how are we able to go out, hustle in order to, and then still have the energy to infuse ourselves in those spaces and take up space?
There has to be a work-life balance.
Yeah.
I am a second, is it first or second generation?
First generation.
I'm a first generation immigrant. And I did it. I'm a single mom. I've been a single mom for over 14, 15 years. Right? My kids were in public school same way. They would go to school and just learn the normal curriculum, English, math, science, etc. Then I have to take them to extracurriculum activities. So dance classes, swimming classes, Kumon, all those things I've done, right? You have to make time for your kids to also experience the world. So taking them to the Calgary Zoo, taking them to a mall and just walking around. You don't have to shop. Just give them experiences outside of the home and church and just family. It's really important. Find, cheap activities to do that has a grouping for families. Like back then, I don't know back then, but the Glenbow Museum is now, up for renovation. So they've been closed for a while. But every Thursdays, they had like a free day. Bring your family in, check out all the beautiful artwork, take a look at it and whatever. Some organizations have like promos that they give people that are low income, right? And they would discount the amount so you're not paying $200-$300. Those type of opportunities to be able to have that free space to gather with other people outside of your home and church and family and be in a space to learn and get your children to have those experiences is very important.
Yeah.
Field trips is great for them, but not when they're not spending time with you as their parent, right? Those experiences frame their thinking. My children are grateful because a lot of things I've brought to them outside of just the home has really shaped them to who they are now. They understand the arts, they understand activities, they understand, seeing things that would not be seen before because they have that access. You have to make time for play. You can't just be hustling and hustling and hustling for what? Your children are going to grow. You miss those opportunities to gather with them and have the building as a family outside of what they know. And it's great because they get to see the world and get to experience it with you as their parents. So yeah, that excuse that I hear a lot of immigrants, we work so hard. Everybody else works so hard, but why do they make so much time for other things outside of the community? Right? You have to make time for it. You have to make conscious time for it, even if it's once every 3 months. Do something that would be able to get you to realign yourself, understand the country that you're in, the communities that you're in, see other countries and communities outside of your community so you can understand them better. Go to all these shows, like they have, Cirque Soleil. Go there. They have all this circus, people that do circuit. Go there. Bring your children. They get to see people flying on, thin ropes and riding bicycles on a plank. And that to them is like, wow. And they will never forget such experiences with you. So it's really important to just not just be comfortable and be like, work, come home, church, come home, work. It's redundant and it doesn't build you as you're here in this community. Grow, learn, go to Banff, check out the gondola, walk around, be able to just see the beauty of this country and not just be stifling yourself at home.
And then in the midst of all of that, how do you also now find time to create space for you to be able to go for these activities that are brought out by Black people, like those shows and all of that? Like all of these are things that we have to do. Yeah. And then how do you find because some of them are done like weekdays. Yeah. So in the midst of all of this, you still have to carve out, like, how do you leave the kids and say, oh, I'm going for maybe the Calgary Arts are doing something, so Africa is doing something.
I bring my kids. As long as it's not naked people on stage or swearing, I bring my kids with me, and I always done that. And being a director of an organization, a founder of an organization, you also have to network. So you're going to all these networking events, trying to network and let people know what you do, get them to know you personable. So, seeing you on TV or seeing you, on those sponsored ads is not good enough. You want to have a conversation with them. You want them to hear you. You want to learn about them too and get their business card. I had a 300 plus business card at a point.
Oh my goodness. I've not been able to get through mine. Like so many people, I'm like, I'll shoot you an email, but I've not been able to, it's hard.
You have to, right? As soon as you get home, just quickly shoot an email, see if you can book a meeting with them if you're interested in whatever they're serving. But you miss those opportunities to gather because you don't know who they know that can help you out in your next step that you're trying to do, right? But yeah, you have to carve time for it. Black History Month is very busy. I'm not going to lie. There's 4 weekends in this month. I think 5 this year because of the leap year. 5, yay. After 4 years, we got 5 more. Anyways, you have to find time. There's so many amazing programs and events that are happening that are educational, that are fundamental, that would really, really ground you, and you get to meet really amazing people. And it's not even being only held by Black people, Black organization. Other organizations are creating space for that too. So it's great to be able to go to those spaces and check them out. Calgary Foundation has an event calendar that showcase a lot of Black History Month events. Check that out and see which ones you can go to. Some of them are free. Right? Some of them are free. So it doesn't even have to be a cost issue in terms of not being able to access the space because of, financial constraints. But yeah, make the time. As a business owner, you have to be out there. You have to constantly be able to see people, communities, and build with them and be able to connect with them in a different level because you're selling something that is important for them. Like our Black Arts Development Program. We have one coming up for script writing and actors development. It's free.
When?
Coming up in March, but we have the application ending on February the 19th for the actors and April the 5th for the actors. So this is the second time we're doing it. The first time was in 2021. We had about 33 participants who we developed for scriptwriting and actors. So because of the fact that we didn't see a lot of scriptwriters and actors who are Black in the city of Calgary, and we're part of this 3550 initiative that's supposed to support, BIPOC women and people in theater. So we wanted to support that work by creating a space for Black people to be in theater. So we decided to do this program in 2021. It's free. We trained 33 participants. It was on a Saturday, 3 hours each Saturday. They got to learn from very amazing industry leaders in scriptwriting and actors development. And after they finished, they got $500 per person. So we paid them to develop them and train them. And a lot of those who have done that program in 2021, we're seeing them acting now on stage in theater shows. Companies that were looking for Black people, they have them now because of our program. So the next one is coming up, and we want to make sure that a lot of people know about it because it's free. You're just basically taking the time to learn and getting paid for your time, and then you can use whatever you've learned to continue your journey in the artistry. So that's the next plan, and we're hoping that more people come out and take advantage of the opportunities because it's not something that's readily available in the city.
That's awesome. So now for people who do not live in the city but plan to move, like immigrants they have it at the back of them because immigrants are constantly coming. Every time you're like, oh, they just put I don't even know the name again, nomination or something like that, and then there are new people in the city. How can they benefit and put themselves without actually getting themselves in trouble? Because where we're coming from, I speak as a Nigerian. We're like, I don't want to put my mouth in this kind of issue because I'm just an immigrant. I don't want to be removed from this part. And one thing I have also noticed is we are Black and we're loud. But at the same time, there's some people you're like, I don't really want to be found because there are some things people would complain about here. But for me, it's not really something because of where in Nigeria, there's so many languages. And we're already divided there. And so you're coming here and you're used to that division. And then maybe you hear somebody say something. People don't really know how to pronounce my name back home. I know the way people spell my name. Like people from other cultures will spell my name. And I'm like, even here, like people from other cultures, I know the way they will spell. I'm like, that's not how you spell my name. So why would I expect a white person who has never even come in contact with my own culture or my name to be able to spell my name? And then maybe somebody pronounces my name somehow and then somebody raises it, like, you don't say that. You don't, how do we create that space where people feel safe within us? Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be part of this because I don't want to get in trouble as an immigrant. How do we create that space so that because I feel like people that are raised here, they're oblivious of what we have to go through mentally. And they're like, okay, yes, I'm fighting for you. Am I this fight? Are you sure it's really the right fight for me? Are you sure you're not getting me in trouble? How do we navigate that? How do we put that together in order for us to be able to coexist as people, second generation immigrants, first generation immigrants, people who have lived here all their lives and have their papers already, and people who are just coming, but at the same time, they want to feel safe and they want to create nuance to the things that they go through as new immigrants?
That's an amazing question. In 2021, I was asked by an organization in Vancouver that an organization in Calgary hired to co-produce a festival that they've been doing for 7 years. It's supposed to be like a moving festival, and it's been moving from Toronto to Nova Scotia, like different areas, provinces in Canada. So this time it's in Vancouver, but because of COVID, it has to be virtual. So they asked me to present a presentation, PowerPoint presentation about African hair. The importance of African hair, and I love stuff like that. I used to braid hair back in the day, so I was able to put the presentation together, and it was an hour online presentation. People joined from all over the place. We did what we had to do. We had a local hairdresser here, also, with a mannequin, braid the hair and show them how to braid hair. So we talked about the importance of our hair, wigs, how our hair has moved from, cornrows, and the importance of cornrows hiding, seeds and food when there was the passage and people were running away from slavery, and they could unbraid the hair and cook the rice and at least have something to eat. So also having the cornrows look like a navigation map to allow people to escape from their captives. So really important information about our hair and how our hair has evolved to what it is now. So after having that first, presentation in this anti-racism festival, the same day I was to have a panel discussion with people who were Indigenous, Asian, and myself. So I made sure that, asking the organization to ensure that the space was safe, to ensure that I would not, encounter any type of racist issues, because it's an anti-racism festival and they want us to share our lived experience about racism. So after I finished the presentation about the hair, 3-4 hours later, I was to also be in a panel about my story on racism. So I got to that panel. It was online. Over 50-something people were joined in. The Indigenous person spoke about their experience with residential schools and all that has happened to Indigenous people. The Asian person spoke about, grandfather being part of the people who created the railway in Vancouver. And then it was my turn. So as soon as I wanted to start talking, just heard voices from the actual meeting saying my name, swearing at me, and calling me the N-word.
Why? I don't get it. Like,
this is an anti-racism festival. This is a panel to share stories about racism. Here I am, ready to say my story, and I didn't have to say anything because people were talking for me.
Exactly.
Like, do you see that? Do you see what I go through?
Wait. Online, for that matter.
Online on Zoom.
Why? Do you know why? Have you been able to find an answer?
No clue.
Wow.
Don't know how they got in, because I asked to make sure that, everyone is safe. So that whoever let them in into the Zoom space. And they waited for me. They waited for me. They swore at me, said my name, and called me the N-word profusely. And they did this for at least a minute. And everyone was just looking stunned, like, oh my goodness, we're here at an anti-racism festival trying to combat racism. It's the month of March. It's, anti-racism month. It was anti-racism day. I think March 20th was the date. And, people that were there, the professors, dean of professors, teachers, community leaders, so many different people were in that space wanting to hear our story so they can hear how we can combat it. And here I am being abused.
Wow.
So the person just basically shut down the whole Zoom, and everyone left there traumatized. But there is a lawsuit happening with our organization, with Osuji and Smith, my lawyers. So that is still being worked out, but it shocked me because it's still happening in Canada. Even after George Floyd's murder, here in Canada, it's still happening.
What year did you say this happened?
2021, 3 years ago. And the worst thing, they were playing rap music in the background. So they enjoy our culture, our music.
Yeah, of course.
Yet you're abusing a Black woman while you're listening to such music. It was crazy. So that's what I'm saying. When you ask that question about safe space, that space was supposed to be safe. That space was supposed to be educational. That space was supposed to be sharing stories about our experience with racism and figuring out what we can do to help redress it. Here I am being abused in front of all the people that were supposed to be allies. And nothing could have been done. They just shut down the Zoom. So
I'm just stunned. I don't even know what to say. Like, yeah, I'm totally like, I don't know.
So when you're
Wow.
asking that people, you coming there, um trying to integrate in the community and not knowing if the space is safe, not knowing if you're gonna be, attacked, maybe some racial, condemnation or some discrimination will come out of people. You don't know that. But you are trusting that you're going there and you already did your due diligence to ensure that is this safe space? Am I gonna go there and I'll feel good and I'll feel okay and I'll feel, I'll feel protected, and then that happens. So you have to really know where you're going. You have to know the organization, do some background work, see if they've had any issues previously. If you're with your own people, it might be a different things. It could be, you're Calabar, Yoruba, you guys eat this. It could be that type of unnecessary rhetoric. But if you're with other people, other communities that you don't know how they receive people, you might not feel safe in that space because they have their own thinking of who you are just by looking at your skin color.
That's interesting. So I think the answer to this is there is no safe space. You just have to test the waters.
Yes.
And then you have your own experience and be traumatized a little bit,
Yes.
and then you can know.
If this space is safe
Yeah.
and you got a lot out of it, you met people, you felt good, go back there. But if you step in and you're feeling off, please leave.
Right.
Please leave. It's good for your mental health. I know a lot of us Black people, we don't like to talk about mental health. It's good for your mental health. We suffer a lot back home. So when you come here, you're like, I've had everything, I've done everything, but this is a different type of push. This is a different type of community environment. This is a different type of racism.
So how can we now, us that we are trying to test the world, how can we build a community around you? Because that's something I've also been trying to build. Like, how can we build that our own community where we're sure that this is a, or would you say you already have that safe space, that safe community?
I do. Alcove Center for the Arts is one safe space for me. I like going to their events. It's about the arts, and everybody's just there, focusing on just learning from each other and being in the space free of any type of like restraints. You're just there. You're just participating. Whatever they give you as an activity, you do. That's a safe space. Theaters, going to theater shows. They've done a lot of EDIA work in a lot of the theaters in Calgary due to the George Floyd's death and being held accountable by so many different organizations like the 3550. Go there. You're just going to watch a show. Irrespective of who's sitting beside you, you're just going to watch a show. So safe spaces are there if you don't have to talk or participate in a way that, you're putting yourself out there. Just be a body and be in that space and enjoy whatever they give to you. Church is there. That's a safe space for a lot of people. And a lot of people, it's not.
Yeah.
Right? Family is a safe space for a lot of people. Myself and my friends, we do like game nights. And we just call a bunch of ourselves and we just come and play games. That's a safe space because you know that you're just being with people you know, and you'll be able to just have fun and be competitive and just play the game, right? So you have to create your safe space that would allow you to be able to be yourself and also understand that you're bringing yourself fully in that space and letting people know who you are outside of what they see or who they think you are out there. A lot of people think I'm very stern and very serious, but I'm not.
That? Why is that?
I'm not. I'm always joking. I'm always laughing.
Why do you think people think that's who you are?
Because of my face. I have...
And you have such white teeth. You should smile more often.
I have a resting.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? So people see that and they're like, "Ooh, she doesn't look happy. She doesn't look like a fun and happy person." But people know me. They know. You know what I mean? My kids know me. They're like, my mom, and their children, their kids, their friends too come to our house and they like, "Oh, she looks so," and then I'm talking, they're like, "Whoa, she doesn't even seem that way." But so don't judge the book by its cover. That's what I'm saying. Go to those spaces and see for yourself. And if you don't feel comfortable, don't come back there. Yeah, I'm smiling. I'm a nice person.
Yeah, she is. She's been nice to me from the get-go. So my own experience, I have a positive experience. And maybe because I'm also like, not here though, but back home, I used to be that person where when someone sees me, like, she's a snob or she's this or she's that. And I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm not a snob. I'm just should I call it antisocial or socially awkward? I'm very socially awkward. I want to be a social person, but I'm so awkward when it comes to being social or how to start those conversations, and then people just turn me to be a snob.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the reason why I'm like, I would go to talk to you until I'm proven otherwise. Like
Yeah.
if you then snub me, I'm like, okay, then this is who she is.
Yeah.
But like my experience with you has been very positive.
I am a proper introvert.
Yeah.
People would never think that because like you're in the arts, you're all over the place. I'm like,
Exactly.
I have to push myself to be out there and put myself out there and introduce myself and talk and be on stages and be on TV and be talking. It's a lot. It takes a lot out of me. And so if I come and I'm in a space and you want to talk, come and say hi. I'll talk back to you. I'm a nice person. I just don't initiate, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I totally get that. I can totally relate. Wumi, with that, I would say thank you so much. Do you have anything on your mind that you would just like to talk about? Because this is your diary. So,
Yeah. Life is what you make it. You know, you have one life. I believe, you're not reincarnating and coming back into this life. You have one life. So do your best to share your talents, your gifts, and everything that's inside of you that you want to do, because you don't want to live a life of regrets. So really push yourself to do what you want to do. I love Titi Lokpe Shonuga's story. Parents were forcing her, like, you have to get your education. You know, you can't come to Canada and not be educated and actually go to school. What do you want to do? And she decided to go into engineering. But she had the arts as something that she's always wanted to do. She fulfilled, got the degree, went and worked in an engineering firm. After that, she's like, I'm going back to Nigeria and I'm focusing on my poetry. And now she's a world-renowned poetry artist that's selling out in South Africa, Nigeria, US, and Canada. And she's doing amazing work in that side of discipline of arts. So do not let anything stop you. If you want to fulfill whatever your parents want you to fulfill and you feel that it's like something that would not give peace in the family, do that. But then make that decision to do something you love, because that's your purpose and that's your calling. So yeah, that would be my suggestion for people.
that's awesome. So we have this question, or I have this question that I ask people every time on the diary. It's, if like, is there something you wish you knew before buying that one-way ticket to come to Canada?
I have no choice. My parents brought me.
Yeah.
After 3 days in Canada, I'm like, it's cold. It was in October. Bring me back to Nigeria. I don't mind the strike in the schools. I don't mind the uncertainties. Take me back. So yeah, it's a different case for me, because I wasn't coming as a university international student. I was coming as a 10-year-old child.
So you're almost a second generation. You're in between first generation and second generation.
I wasn't
immigrants.
born here though.
Yeah, but like you were very little and you were brought here. So like your parents brought you. You didn't make up your mind to come.
No.
It was just like, okay, this is what we're doing and we're doing it.
Yes.
So I would say maybe you're a first generation immigrant. Sorry, your parents were the first generation immigrant, and then you're like the second generation. And then some way or some shape or form, you also fit in that first generation immigrant with your kids as a second generation. Very unique position to be in. And then another question that we usually ask is, if you were to correct a bias, what bias do you think people usually have of Black people? Because this is Black History Month, so I'm going to narrow it down to Black people. What bias do you think of Black people, using yourself as an example, do you think, and how would you like to correct that?
We are not a monolith. We're diverse. There are people from the Caribbean. There are people from Africa. There are people from islands. There are people who are Black. They don't know their inheritance. They don't know where they came from. They don't know their forefathers generations back. They just know that they're Black. So don't assume that we're all one. We're one skin color, but there's so much diversity in each person. So get to know them. Don't think you know it all. Get to understand who they are, where they came from, the language they speak, the food that they eat, what's their culture like, what's their music like. Do that individually. I don't like that. That's why we have the Africa is not a country, it's a continent. Because Africa has 54 countries, and there's no way that you can group 54 countries in one. One thing, as a dancer, I hate the term West African dance, because it terms 18 countries in one name. While 18 countries has thousands of dances, you're going to call one style of dance West African dance. which is just wrong.
Yeah. Just say it's Nigerian
Thank
or
you.
South African or Ghanaian.
Yep.
Don't say West African.
Yes.
Because, yeah, there are so many countries in West Africa
Yes.
as a whole. That's awesome.
Thank
you so much, Wunmi. It was so nice having you on the show and just
Thanks.
listening to you and listening to your journey, your story.
Thank
and
you.
We hope we've been able to create a safe space for you here.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And maybe sometime in the future, we should have you come back.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. So thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Ronnie, for just bringing me in here and allowing me to share and let people know about things that they might not know from someone that has had longer years in this country. Because I hear that a lot. Like, oh, how long have you been in Canada? 2 years. What about you? 31 years. Like, you're an ancient person here. I was like, oh. So it's good to be able to share and just look back at the journey and be able to give some tidbits on what can support other people who are new to this country.
Thank you. Thank you for lending your voice
Thank
always.
you.
Okay, guys, that is our episode. Thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget to follow, like, share, rate us on all of your platforms. And Wunmi, if people want to find you on social media, what's your social media handle?
Okay, the company's social media handle is Wezo Africa, WOEZO Africa, AFRICA. For myself, it's Unlimited Wombs, UNLTD_WUNMS on Instagram.
Awesome. You heard that. You heard her. So go follow. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.
The Diary of a Niger Immigrant is proudly presented to you through Onyi's Lens. You can keep up with us on Instagram by following The Diary of a Niger Immigrant and through Onyi's Lens. Don't forget to rate, share, like, and drop a comment on topics you'd like us to discuss. And I'll see you on the next.